Hey guys, Paul Saladino here. I hope you're feeling great. I want to start off by saying that this is a very difficult time in the world. We're all experiencing a very weird time in our life, and it's causing us to go within and to deal with a lot of emotional stuff. Many of us are unclear and unsure about our future. And to me, I really feel like we need to relax. And nothing does that better than laughter. So I had promised you that I was going to create a video including all the funny experiences that I've had throughout my years of doing this spiritual work. And believe me, there are many. So this is volume one. Please take a moment out of your busy day, relax and listen to this video because I am hoping to give you a little bit of a chuckle or ultimately a belly laugh. For me, laughter just heals. It gets me out of the moment. It allows me to relax and just enjoy. So I'm going to tell you a bunch of different stories that have happened to me. And I want you all to know that every appointment I have is confidential. I never repeat fully. And I never would ever reveal someone's name to protect the innocent, and in this case, guilty. So I'm just going to say that in most cases, I tell these clients that, look, this situation is so crazy, I'm going to have to repeat this situation. I'm going to have to tell someone because I can't keep this inside. So I'm not doing anything to disrespect anybody or to give out personal information. All right. And by the way, this is a statue of what I'm going to look like when this whole pandemic is over. I just want you all to know I can't stop eating. There's something wrong with me. I'm not even hungry and I'm eating. It's so when you see me in the future. Okay, I want to start off by telling you my favorite story of all time. And this goes back many years ago. And I was new to doing this work, relatively new. And so I was excited every morning to wake up and have my appointments, and I was looking forward to them. And this one morning, the doorbell rang, and I was excited, and I went to the door, and I opened the door, and there stood a very tall, big girl, very tall. And so I went to open the door, and she went, and she was like, she gasped. And I thought, oh my God, do I like have something on me? Is there something behind me? Is she seeing something that I'm not seeing? And I was really nervous, so I opened the door very slowly and I said, come on in. And she came in and she was like, oh my God, it's you. I looked at her and I said, well, who were you expecting? And she then proceeded to say, I've been waiting so long to see you. All of my friends and family members, even my coworkers have come to see you. She said, and I'm here. And I'm thinking, oh boy, here we go. This one's going to be a loony. So I invited her in and I said to her, come on in, just have a seat and we'll talk for just a few seconds and then we'll begin the session. So I said, please have a seat. And so she sat down and she stood up. And I said to her, just relax, have a seat. And she sat down again. And she stood up again. And now I'm thinking, oh boy, what did I ever do? And I said to her, okay, listen, in order for me to relax, you have to sit down. I need to go, relax my brain and I have to feel calm. So please, just sit down. And she sat down and she stood up. And I was like, okay, look. And I said, I don't know how else to say it. Please just sit down. And she said, I can't. And I said, what do you mean you can't? She said, I think I just wet myself on your couch. So I looked over, and lo and behold, there was a very large wet spot on my couch. Now look, it wouldn't have been as devastating if it was a leather couch and I could just wipe it up. It's a cloth couch. And so there was this big wet stain. So now it took every ounce of my self-control to not get upset. And I said, okay, don't worry about it. Please, just let me put a towel on the other side and you'll just sit and we'll complete the session. And now for 55 minutes, I am doing this reading, and every few seconds I'm looking out of the corner of my eye and seeing that wet spot. I was freaking out. And we finished the appointment. It went rather well. She stood up for the 18th time, and she left. And I'm thinking, what did I ever do? That was the most expensive reading I have ever done. It cost me $700 to replace my couches. While it was going on, it was very frustrating, obviously. But now I could look back on it and laugh. And this is a true indication that we can find the good in almost anything. So I use that every day to think about that when I'm in a bad mood. And it just seems to get me out of it. Even though, again, like at the time, yeah, you couldn't have done that. But now, I can seriously find the humor in it. And my second funniest story was a couple of years after that. I answered the door, and there stood a middle-aged Asian woman, and I said, "Oh, come on in." And so, as she entered my home, we introduced ourselves, and I noticed a little bit of a issue because I didn't quite understand what she said. And so, as she spoke more, I thought, oh, she doesn't speak a lot of English. And I thought, how is this going to work? How am I going to get my point across and relay messages to her with this language barrier? And so I said, all right, God, well, you'll provide. And I escorted her in, and I said, oh, please have a seat. And I could tell that she was like really nervous, like anxiously nervous. And I thought, oh boy. So I'm trying to explain to her the process. And as I do with most of my clients, I tell them, things happen in my home. Oftentimes the doorbell will ring a lot, and Alexa, there will be voices coming out of her, and my lights are going on and off, and my alarm goes off, my microwave goes on by itself. Things move. It just happens. I'm used to it. I think it's just Spirit's way of saying, pay attention. No big deal for me, but I know someone who's not used to that could be shocked. So I was trying to explain to her, things happen. And I'm trying to speak very slowly and precisely. And I'm even using my hands so that she can see a visual of what I'm trying to explain to her. She wasn't getting it. So I truly believe that Spirit has humor. And so at this moment, they're like, yeah, okay, we'll help you along here, Paul, because you're not getting the point across. And with that, my fireplace doors begin to open. And I'm like, oh boy. This woman stood up, and her eyes were as wide as can be, and she screamed. It was as if she saw the ghost. She then took off out of my home, ran across my lawn, and started running down the street with her arms flailing, screaming something that obviously I couldn't understand. And I thought, oh my gosh. And I ran after her. And now I'm running after this woman who, let me tell you something, could have ran the marathon in record time. I couldn't keep up with her. Probably because I was laughing so hysterically, I couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And so I'm seeing this woman running, leaving me in the dust, never to be found again. And to this day, I can be in any negative or devastating moment and just visualize that. And I will pee my pants. Not on a couch, but I could pee my pants. It's that funny. I just find humor in it. I'm sorry. And I think it's something I need every once in a while because the work that I do is so heavy. It's so intense. People come to see me for answers, and they want to bring themselves to a peaceful place. And that could be very devastating for me. People don't understand that. It could be heavy work. And so that helps me to relieve the tension and stress, to remember that. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. So there's a few frustrating stories. And the first one is that stands out the most is I tell all of my clients that this is a private session. This is between you and I, so you have to come alone. And this one particular day, I answered the door to a woman who has 2 small kids. And I thought, oh, this is unusual. Okay. Well, I answered and I said, do you have somebody coming to watch your children? And she said, oh, I'm so very sorry. She said, I didn't have a babysitter. Nobody would babysit, she said. So I thought maybe I could just put them on the floor and they can play while we do the session. And I thought, okay, you know what? That's innocent enough. What does it matter? I'm sure that I'll be able to connect and it'll go well. And so we began, and she put these two children that were probably around the age of 3 and 2 on the floor, and we began. Let me tell you something. These children became possessed. They got up and started running throughout my home, banging into walls, throwing papers, ripping papers, throwing items all over the place. At one point I heard glass break, and I was like, and I said to her, do you not want to go check your children? And her answer will shock you. She said, no. No. She said, yeah, no, this is my moment for me. She said, I'm doing this for me right now. Hello, did you not care about what's going on in my home? Obviously not. And for an hour, these children ransacked my home. And I had to sit there cringing every few minutes. My cat even screeched. You know what a cat sounds like when it screeches. I was unbelievably shocked. No wonder nobody would babysit. They were crazy. My house looked like a tornado hit it. And the funny part of this is when it was over, I fully expected her to say, I'm so sorry, Paul. Can I help you clean up? Or can I assist you in any way? No. She just yelled out, come on, kids. It's time to go. Come on, kids. It's time to go. My mother would have locked me in a cage. She didn't care. And it took me 3 hours to clean my home. I still today find things that are thrown in places I couldn't reach. That was so frustrating to me, and I can now look back and laugh on it. But here again, while it was going on, I just could not imagine that somebody would be able to act that way and not care. The next story is kind of funny, and it has a comic twist to it, and on the tail end of it, literally. This one day I was doing this reading with this woman, and she was a very professional woman. And so she was dressed very nicely, and we were having this beginning of our conversation, and it was going really well. But I can tell that she was so focused and so wanting to be connected. And so people like that, I could tell they want to move closer to me. They want to get almost sit on my lap. And so I sit on another couch right next to them, and she just kept inching over and inching over. And the information that was coming out of me had to do with her grandparents who had passed. And so I could hear them, and I was relaying messages, and you could see how emotionally connected she was to this. And so she wanted to move over to get closer to me, as if to hear better. And so she moved, and in doing so, she passed gas. Now, you can try and cover that up. You can cough. You can make a funny sound with your mouth. You can rub your finger against something, or you shuffle your feet. There's no disguising that. It was a fart. I was almost hoping that it was stinky, because she never paid attention to it. She never broke focus. She just kept expecting me to continue. Now, those of you out there who know me real well know that fart and poop jokes just kill me. I just can't refrain myself from laughing. And at this point, when it happened immediately, I said, oh no. I am going to burst out laughing in this woman's face. Now, I'm sure you've had an awkward situation where you were about to laugh and it was inappropriate to do so. Imagine that magnified 1 billion times. So I had no other choice but to turn away and look in a different direction. Tears were coming out of my eyes. I was trying to breathe and compose myself and gather my feelings and thoughts before I turned back around to look at her, because I didn't want to embarrass her. She didn't take any responsibility. She didn't even say, oh, excuse me. No. So as I did get myself to a calmer place, I turned around and she said to me, is that where my grandparents are? Is that why you were looking over there? Are you kidding me? No. I had to turn away because you farted. I didn't say that, but I really wanted to. And so she left, and again, never even apologized or said anything, but I went about my life. And years later, for those of you who know me also know that I take care of some animals in the neighborhood, and I'm really partial to the feral cats. And this one particular little boy that I've become really close to, he's actually become a pet to me. He lives in my home, and his name is Pharrell. I named him Pharrell because he's feral, so Pharrell and feral. Anyway, he's such a sweet boy, and animals are so connected to our energy. They feel it, and they love when we do spiritual energy because it's such a pure energy. So he, when I do readings, is always attached to my hip. He's like right next to me. And so this one particular day, I'm doing this reading with this woman, and it's going really well, and I'm excited about it. And all of a sudden, I'm stopped dead in my tracks, and I smell something horrible. And I realized that Mr. Farrell must have had a bad night, because he let go of some ungodly gas. I mean, I can't even describe it. And now I'm thinking to myself, oh boy, I'm in trouble. And it began like a little wave. It started to get stronger as it got closer. And I'm thinking, oh boy, it's headed right in her direction. And so I thought, all right, well, I'll just apologize. I'll just say I'm sorry for the cat. So I said to her, excuse me, I said, you're about to like get hit with something, but I want you to know that Mr. Farrell over here just farted. Now, you would have thought she would have been appreciative of that. And at that moment, I think she began to smell it, and she said, oh, really? Blame the cat. Blame the cat? It was the cat. She was fully convinced it was me. And she wouldn't let go of it. She said to me, cat's gas does not smell like that. How do you know? Do you go around smelling other cats' gas? She said, that was you. Really? So for the rest of the session, anything I said, she was like, oh, is that because you farted? Is that because you can't admit that you farted? No, I didn't fart. It was the cat. She was so convinced that it was me. And so that was a very frustrating experience. Now, because I am who I am, I didn't address it. I just let it be. But let me tell you something. That cat needs some brioche or something to like clear its stomach up. Because when he does do that, it can peel paint. It's that bad, trust me. Which brings me to the biggest story of all. It's not my favorite, but it is certainly the most devastating. And again, looking back now, I can find humor in it, but oh boy, for a very long time, I could not. So this one particular day, again, a woman comes walking into my home, and I said to her, oh, please have a seat. And she said to me, do you mind if I use your bathroom? I said, no, of course not. Go right ahead. So she goes in, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just waiting and breathing and relaxing. And I'm noticing it's taking a little bit longer than it does to do number one. So now I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to make this an embarrassing situation. She probably had a difficult morning. Whatever. So she comes out of the bathroom, and she kind of shuts the door pretty quickly and loudly. And I'm thinking, oh, all right, whatever. So she sits down, and we begin the session. All's going well for about 5 minutes, and she says to me, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt you, but can I use your bathroom again? And I'm thinking, oh, okay, go right ahead. Now she's in there, and I'm thinking, oh boy, she had one too many cups of coffee, or just something's not agreeing with her. And we've all gone through it, so I'm thinking, it's an uncomfortable situation. Let me just, laugh it off. So she comes out, and we finish the session. And she also, the second time that she came out, she kind of slammed the door again. And I'm thinking, boy, pretty aggressive there. No big deal. So she leaves. And throughout the session, I'm thinking to myself, what did she do in that bathroom? Like, why was she so anxious to slam the door shut? All right. After the session, she leaves. I go walking over to the bathroom, and I open the door. Now, I had the same look that girl had when that young girl, that tall girl, saw me. I was like, You cannot imagine what my bathroom looked like. It was like a tornado hit it. It was like a disaster area. There was toilet paper everywhere. And I'm not kidding, everywhere. And there was number two in places I had no idea how it got there. Now, I'm psychic. I'm able to see things. This one I can't clear up. I was looking at this bathroom with horror. On the countertop of my sink was such a big puddle you could have put a goldfish in it and it would have swam. This woman did not clean up anything. Who does that? Who does that? I'm so mindful when I go and use someone else's restroom. I want to leave it perfect. I might even clean something for them. Not this woman. Oh my God. It took me at least 2 hours to clean it from floor to ceiling. Ceiling. So things happened in that bathroom. I, for a very long time, could not get past this. I couldn't. Now, thinking about it, what makes it so funny for me is the people's expressions on their face when I tell them the story. That alone makes it worthwhile. So I have to tell you, it was a devastating experience. It was one that I will never forget and will go down deep into the record books. But it was worth every moment of those 2 hours to now bring joy to someone else. So remember that in life. We can always find the humor in everything. And sometimes devastation has to happen. As long as we can be lighthearted about it, we can find the good. So I hope these stories have brought you a bit of happiness, allowed you to laugh, get out of your moment, and to live just in the bliss for a few minutes. I'm so excited to tell you guys that there'll be more of stories coming. I will have, I'm sure, a couple of more videos coming after this one because there has been numerous situations similar to those, some different, that I can share with you to give you a moment of peace. So grab onto humor. Every day, share it, create it for someone else, and most importantly, get out of your life and just find a bit of laughter. It heals. So, one word of advice before I end the video. If you ever use someone's bathroom, please clean up after yourself. Please. It doesn't take much. Well, in this case, it would have. And trust me, it did. I don't know what happened. But please, do the right thing. So thank you guys. Take care of yourself and be well.